I did promise you some reaction to Prime Minister's questions. I found there were some quite tasty bits, shall we say. Ruby Lott-Lavigna from the Open Democracy News website is with me, former Conservative Special Advisor Claire Pearsall. Also, afternoon to you both. Out of 10, entertainment. Claire?
Oh, I think this one was down at a 4 today.
Really?
Yeah.
Ruby's, you're a gog.
I give it an 8.
I was up there with you.
Entertaining.
I was up there with you. You know what, Ruby, I'm going to pick up on the fact, and Susan did allude to this, that you mentioned, that Rishi Sunak has been pinpointed for his personal wealth. And it definitely happened today, didn't it? It happened when, and let's pick up. I mean, I think you've picked this as the worst moment. No. There was another moment. But picked up on is particularly his personal wealth and telling the public to hold their nerve in the face of high inflation.
Absolutely. I think, 10 points to me for predicting that coming up. But I think what we learned from that PMQs is that this is an attack line that's going to probably be used again and again, because I think it's quite effective. We saw Stephen Flynn mentioning it, hold your nerve, millionaire PM, and it's going to sting, I think, for Rishi, and I think he looked uncomfortable having to answer questions on that.
I think he looked uncomfortable, full stop, which is hence why my answer of the 4 for entertainment purposes.
That's interesting, because we were talking earlier about, and you were saying how much more confident you think he is now at the dispatch box.
And completely awkward, very disjointed, very flat, almost disinterested in some of the backbenchers' questions that came up, talking about local police stations, a local pier, hospitals. And it was just as if he was reciting words, needed to get to the end of his little brief in his folder in front of him. It just didn't feel very inspiring.
Well, one of the moments, and I think, Ruby, you've picked this out as the worst moment, is a response about the housing market from Stephen Flynn, the leader of the SNP.
Mr. Speaker, on Sunday, the Prime Minister patronised the public when he told them that in the face of ever-increasing mortgage bills, that they simply need to hold their nerve. What a nerve. So may I ask him, the near billionaire, when was the last time that he struggled to pay a bill?
Yeah!
Mr. Speaker, the reason that mortgage rates are rising is because of inflation, Mr. Speaker. That is the root cause, which is why it's absolutely the right policy to tackle, halve inflation and reduce it back to target. Now, that does mean that we do have to make difficult decisions. It does mean we have to be patient while the impact of those decisions actually has an impact. But in the meantime, Mr. Speaker, as I was explaining previously, we are taking practical steps to support mortgage holders across the United Kingdom, particularly through the SMI scheme and the new mortgage charter.
That is the match for Australia.
So that's a comment from the Women's Ashes, of course. So you're not so impressed there.
No, not really. I think you heard the sort of boos and murmurings when Stephen Flynn from the SNP asked that question. And I think Rishi doesn't really have an answer, I think it doesn't land well to people to hear the PM say you just have to get through this difficult point when it seems like he is not struggling in the same way that they are.
OK, Claire, let's pick up on something that you think was perhaps a win for Rishi Sunak.
Mr. Speaker, as always, he hasn't actually taken the time to understand the detail of what we're doing. So, again, I'm happy to explain it again, Mr. Speaker, because it's right that we provide support for mortgage owners, which is why we improve the generosity of the support for mortgage interest scheme. It's why we've introduced a new mortgage charter, which, by the way, goes much more farther than the Labour Party policy on protecting mortgage holders does. On house building, we're proud to protect the green belt and invest millions more in developing brownfield sites. But, Mr. Speaker, the simple truth is, that's what I said I would do, and that's what we've delivered, and that is the difference between us. I deliver what I promise, he just breaks his.
How wonderful life is for you and the world.
Claire, you thought this was a win?
I did. I thought it was a good comeback onto Labour's housing policy, which has been very, very confused. And when that question went on, the Prime Minister then listed off all of the shadow cabinet ministers who had disagreed with their own leader on building on Greenbelt, on building on housing targets. And it's always going to be one of those areas when you come up to a general election, and we are in that process at the moment, where housing and planning are going to be right at the top of people's priority lists, especially in places where there are green belts. And I sat on a local authority for 8 years which has 93% green belts. So I'm well aware of how pernicious these building targets are and how badly governments deal with them.
And
so
of
I
course,
thought this was good.
And of course that's a national subject, but I think some of the joys of Prime Minister's questions are those very particular to constituencies, which are important. The MPs, if they get a chance to get a question, they're trying to, get re-elected, keep their constituents happy. So with the random moments often come out of this, and this is the Southport MP Damien Moore questioning the PM.
For 160 years, Southport Pier has been at the centre of our visitor economy, welcoming visitors from far and wide, including Chorley, Mr Speaker. It stood the tests of time, except for the mismanagement of Labour-controlled Sefton Council, who've closed our pier. Businesses are concerned it will have a huge impact on tourism. Will the Prime Minister condemn these actions and support my campaign and efforts to work with this Conservative government to get our pier open?
It's random, but it's important, so we've given it this.
Are rams in Somerset commonplace?
It is random. That was the one you liked, Ruby.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. We had some good other moments as well. We had someone asking Keir Starmer to grow a spine. That was quite entertaining. And we got a call for a general election, which is, always worth noting.
I will come to that. But Claire, your random moment is this from Sir James Duddridge, Conservative MP for Rochford and Southend East.
Despite 5 years of lobbying, sadly the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International branch will leave the United Kingdom. Mr Speaker, this is a great concern to the House, although perhaps something a little niche for our constituents. It is important. They need special status. The government haven't granted that by way of a short bill or an amendment to an existing bill. And could the Prime Minister at this late stage, this month, do something about this? Because otherwise they'll be gone, never to come back.
I just thought, what a waste of a question. If you have been pulled out of the ballot to go into the chamber to ask the Prime Minister a question, don't ask it on something that is so specifically parliamentary based. The CPA, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, do fantastic work. But it's not the right place and time to bring that up, especially when you've had about hospitals, you've had about the pier, people mentioning Ukraine, mortgage payments, steel workers. And then you have that. And it felt a little bit misjudged from James Duddridge, who is normally relatively sensible.
Also, it's quite hard for us. I'm glad you kind of called it out, because it's quite hard for us, because PMQs can seem quite inaccessible sometimes. And so you want people to engage with politics, obviously. And I kind of see where you're coming from. This is the one, Sean Bainley, Conservative MP for West Bromwich West, who got rather annoyed with Labour.
We are heading into the 5th week of Sandwell Labour's refuse strikes. We've had flying pickets, we've had reports of the GMB blocking ambulance workers getting out of their depot as a result of their picket lines, and the PCC trying to encourage the police not to police it. Can I ask my right honourable friend to ensure that he convenes a meeting urgently so we can resolve this, and perhaps he'll join me and tell Labour politicians, particularly one in particular, grow a spine and put people before your paymasters.
Ooh, this is what you picked out, Ruby. As quite a testy moment.
Yeah, the Tories always get so wound up about the strikes. They go mad for it. It's it's just very entertaining to watch, and you always like to watch someone sort of lose their nerve in the chamber in PMQs. Yes. It gives a bit of colour.
Is it losing a nerve or expressing passion?
Well, I think he would like to believe that was expressing passion, and I'm sure that his social media feeds will be alive with that clip in the next few minutes, I should imagine.
Ruby Lott-Lavigna from the Open Democracy News website, Conservative Special Advisor Claire Pearsall. I've loved your analysis, but the most important question to lead into my next guest, barbecues, yay or nay? Are you good at them, are you bad at them?
Love them. Absolutely love them.
Huge barbecue fan.
Yeah, but
I'm a top griller.
Personally,
I'm the organiser of all of the rest of it. The husband gets to do the grilling and
the glory.
Look manly. Yes,
and the glory.
Absolutely.
This was something we spoke about. It's been a joy talking to you both. Thank you so much.